What I'm doing this morning before I head to work is try and see if I can break this extension case free so I can get the prop off. Because that crack right there, I'm scared that that's inside the gear oil reservoir. Because if it is, that's kind of a no-go. Because anytime I put this in the water, salt water would just be flowing into the extension case, which would ruin all the gears. But it still moves very freely, and I was able to get both the drain holes and whatever that Phillips head down there is out. I didn't take them out, but I loosened them. And I wouldn't think this would be so free after 10 plus years of sitting if there was salt water in the gear case, and that goes in there. How well you can make that out. But it's inside of there. So I'm just going to bust this apart, see what the damage is. Try not to break this too. Starting to come free. Stand by. Alright, well, I got the bolts off and I got it that far, and then I remembered that I forgot to unhook the shifter, and I got no idea how to undo that, or if there's a bolt in there or a nut in there, so we'll just leave this for another day. Alright, so I wheeled her in the garage, and I've got the extension case off now. The way you disconnect the shifter is that there's a Phillips head screw that's got a little clamshell thing on it that holds the shifter in the lower unit to the shifter rod leading up to the power head. And what you do is you just unscrew that flathead screw until it's almost all the way out, and then you hold on the bottom of the case, and then you put it in reverse, and then it just snaps the clamshell, and you have to buy another one. Because that's what happened, and she's down in there now. Can't see it, but we'll get in there with the grabby guffins and fish that out. There she is. We'll just set that aside for now. So, got her in neutral now, and yeah. Chef spins, but full ants. I don't know where these ants are coming from, but I'm guessing it's there. Because the ants are in the water pump, and the water pump housing is cracked. So yeah, that's shot. Don't know if there's supposed to be a tube here, but ain't anymore, unless it's up in here. Yeah, no, there it is. Okay, there is a tube. Good, that's much better than the Honda. The Honda was a nightmare. So yeah, from looking at some stuff online, some other people welding similar cracks in the lower unit, the tube for the oil runs basically straight down about a finger width and then goes down into all this down here. And I think we're good, because if we weren't, I would really expect this to be just gnarly. And it spins really free. The real test will be whenever I take these oil plugs out and see if there's oil in there and what that oil looks like. Because if it's homogenized, then this is pretty much foobar. But at the very least, we're going to need another one of these clamshells, and we're going to need an entire water pump. And I'm going to try and pull this water pump apart here in a second, and just see what we got going on. And got some blue here. Not certain what this is, but it's blue. And this over here is burnt engine oil, because this is the exhaust, so that just pushes down there and out yonder. But yeah, what I plan to do with this is just get a Dremel and just basically grind the entire edge, and then mostly drill some holes here at the tip, and then just pack JB Weld in it. And just call it a day, because if it's not in the gear oil, I'm not going to make things worse. I'm just going to Band-Aid it, and it'll churn water, and I'm not trying to, hit 60 miles an hour and do some kick flips off of wakes. I'm just trying to put around at 5 miles an hour and go between creek and creek. So this will be fine, so long as that runs, and so long as I can find this part, because if I can't find this, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. So yeah, let me bust into this. I don't know if that's 3/8 as well. It looks like it. We'll see if these are seized. Oh, that's 1. 2. That's different. That's different. Those are 7/16. You'll look beneath the skirt here to my entirely unorganized 1/4-inch socket drawer. I promise the rest of them look nicer. That one's tight. That one's not. Well, I expect this one to be tight because, it's all blowed up. So I'm just going to crack that. And then crack this. There it goes. Oh, it's going to fight. Fun. Stand by. Well, she did want to fight. Sheared her right off. Gotta love stainless. But, you're not going to believe this. Come on now. Don't be shy. The fucking water pump is still good. Look at that. It ain't even cracked. Damn. The one on that Honda was obliterated. That's crazy. So, I'm going to peel this off. Oh, that just comes right on out, don't it? Okay. Supposed to do that? Huh. Guess so. We're just gonna pretend we didn't see that. And stick her right back in there. Oh, and there went the key. You gotta be fucking my butt. Alright, well, we're gonna get that off. And here's this O-ring up here. That's just kind of cool. I don't know if it's supposed to sit right there and seal stuff, but it wasn't doing that because it was like down here. So, yeah, I think this motor might be right fucking fucked. I at least have some stud here, so I think I can get that out. That shouldn't be a problem. It's just that it's stainless, so it's gonna destroy any bit I try and use to extract that, and also generally be soft. But at least it's probably not corroded into the block. Now, I'm going to fish that key out, and not work on this for another month while my bank account recovers and I can afford to buy all these parts. I just want you to appreciate these salt crystals down in here. You know, this is some fine, aged Charlestonian sea salt, you know. They got pink stuff up in the Himalayas. We got piss yellow stuff. So yeah, fish the key out. Got that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this at the moment. I guess I'm probably just going to give it the old slather and let it sit for 7 months. That should be good. I just got that everywhere. Right into the damn rum. And yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that this side was absolutely obliterated, I'd reuse this. This thing is in great shape. Someone had to have gotten in here and rebuilt this like sometime in the last 10 years. Because that 1999 Honda, after sitting for, 17 years, was just toast. It was totally gone. And it had been used for it was only used for 7 years, and then the fella put it up and it just sat in the garage. And this thing is from 78, so either this has seen no use, or someone's been in here before, and I'm suspecting from the fact that that looks like that, someone has been in here before, and they didn't fix something. I'm starting to wonder if I broke that or not. I'm pretty sure I did, because I used that, and I'm confident it broke that. But yeah, I can still pretend. Well, I thought by the grace of the good Lord I was going to be able to get that out of there, but yeah, I got about a quarter turn and then just ripped the dang screw off with the vice grips, so she was not going to come out. God, you gotta love stainless, you know? Just garbage fastener material. Doesn't rust, though. So, don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe shit out of luck. I can try a screw extractor, but I guarantee it won't work. And I'm going to ruin a drill bit, you know, trying to drill 1/4 inch straight down into stainless. But worth a shot. Worst I can do is waste money, which I was going to do anyway. I'm just glad I didn't spend any money on this lower unit, or this yet. Well, I knocked that bushing out the corner, and I don't know what the hell this was supposed to be, but it ain't that anymore. Good lord. Was this aluminum? It's whatever it is, it's blue powder now. I guess it had to have been aluminum. That couldn't have been stainless. Those three are just fine. This one has a little bit of smuts going on in it. But, you know, it didn't turn into literal powder. What the hell? That's crazy. So, yeah, no good news. Haven't tried drilling that out yet. Did clean that out. Probably got another that much more depth in there. I think we're down to the crack now. I don't know if you can see it. I can't. But, we're down to the bottom of the shifter now. So, I'm assuming we're about here. We were here before. The ants are inside of that little hole down there. Just having a ball. And, yeah. I'm wondering if I can do some sort of hack job makeshift repair on this sucker and still get her to run. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud silently. My thought is, if I can't get that out, I'm going to drill it out. And if I'm going to drill it out, I'm going to re-tap it to something slightly larger. I think these are 1/4 inch. I could probably get a 5/16 in there. So first thought is to figure out what my screw extractor wants. Drill 1/8 inch probably hole right down in there. Then try the screw extractor. See if that does anything. I'm sure it will not. And if it does anything, it'll just snap the aluminum trying to wedge that stainless steel apart, which is way too soft. And, yeah, if it cracks that, I'll give up. Actually, you know, if it cracks that, I'll just dump so much JB Weld in there that I need more of this. With how that looks and with that right there, I'm going to try and run this water pump as is. I'm not going to buy another one. If it leaks, it leaks. I mean, the whole thing probably leaks. Probably leaks gas, probably leaks air, probably leaks exhaust, and probably leaks gear oil. I can tell you that this is still gear oil in it because it smells like the inside of the differential on the Jeep. So that's a good sign. All this still moves, so I think all the seals are fine. And honestly, I'm just surprised at how decent shape this is in, aside from, you know, all the other garbage. Like, none of the easy stuff is wrong with this. It's like weird stuff. Like, I've got bushings turning into clay, exploded sides of the expansion case down here where I don't even know what happened to it. I guess it must have smacked into something and popped out. There's a divot right there. You know, got ants inside of the intake, got cockroaches inside of the exhaust, and I still have spark and I still have compression and the prop still rotates freely. I don't get it. It's a damn mystery. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to go find where I put my screw extractors. Every glass of rum needs a shard of stainless steel in it. Well, with some thread cutting oil, high speed, cordless drill, and a whole mess of redneck ingenuity, we drilled plumb through what remains of that bolt with an 1/8 inch bit. And I just winged that. I just eyeballed it, and I drilled that hole straighter than any hole I've ever drilled my entire life. That's what she said. Wait. But anyway, so I still haven't found my screw extractor because I haven't looked. So I don't know if that was the correct drill bit to use with it, but let's hope that it is. Probably not. Probably wants a 5/32. But yeah, there's a hole in that now. So at the very least, I've proven that concept. So I think I should be able to get that out. Alright, so this is the only size screw extractor I have. So we're just gonna put that bad boy in there and hope for the best. Considering it didn't come out with 50 foot-pounds of elbow torque, I'm assuming this will do nothing except just drill a bigger hole into it. But we'll see. Well, hammered her in place, and I've probably got about 100 foot-pounds of force into that, and it's going nowhere. So we're just gonna maybe try that one more time, and then give up and just drill the whole damn thing out and rethread the thing. Because I really do not want to break that screw extractor off in there, because I will be SOL. Holy shit, boys and girls. We got movement. Oh, that's because we cracked the fucking aluminum. Holy shit. Good God, but it's coming out. It only needed 150 foot-pounds of force. But we got the screw out. And cracked the whole damn thing. Hot dip. Look at that. Good God. Bet you ain't never seen that before. But we did that to the aluminum. But I don't think that matters too much, considering it was either that or buy a new extension case. And considering I got this for free, I don't care. I'll call that a win. Oh, damn. We'll just have to make sure to put a bunch of thread locker in there. I mean, this doesn't have to be crazy tight. It's just a water pump. It only needs to go on with like 20 foot-pounds. I think I'm just going to put everything back together for today and stick it back on there and wheel this back outside. 'Cause I don't want to look at this anymore. Just makes me nervous looking at it. Well, I got the water pump back on there, and just as a stopgap, I've got this zinc-plated bolt on there, which won't last any amount of time in salt water. But that's just in case, so that if I forget, the water pump will still seal, and I can at least test it. But I'm going to try and run to the hardware store tomorrow morning and find a bolt to replace this. Should be a 1/4 by 20, 1.5 inch bolt with 2 washers. I believe the original bolt is 1 3/8, but that's not really a standard size, at least at the hardware store I'm going to be buying them from. So as a stopgap, I'm going to stick 2 of these 1/16 inch washers under it to get it the same. And I think there's a little bit of extra depth down in there, so that if there's water and in the threads, when you put it on there, it doesn't, create pressure and blow the side out. So I do have some wiggle room, and I've got air bleeders now because, it's cracked. So I don't really got to worry about that, so I could probably make do with 1 fat washer, which is probably what I'm going to do. I also need to find a aluminum bushing for inside of here. It looks like it's a 1/4 inch to 3/8 aluminum, and like between 3/4 and 7/8 tall. So I'll just try and find one that's 1/4 to 3/8 and roughly 7/8. I'll probably find one that's 1 inch, and I'll just stick it in there, mark it, scribe it, and then hack it off with a hacksaw, or just stick it on the belt grinder until it gets there. And then we'll put that in there with the new bolt, and we'll call that a day. And I think I can probably get this back on. This is actually metal. I thought it was plastic, but it's a cheap, crappy metal. Don't know what kind of metal, because it's just like black inside of it. But yeah, that may have been broken before. So I'm just going to try and tighten that down and see if it'll hold. And if it does, we'll run with that as well, because why the hell not? Matches the rest of the theme. And I don't need to worry about that to test it. So we'll ignore this for now, and we'll focus on trying to get the motor to run. If I'm lucky, all that needs is the intake removed, and all the gaskets will be fine, and I can put the intake right back on, and then we can work on continuity for that coil, replace that coil if we have to, and then center. That's the hope, at least, because it seems like all of this is fine. And I'll look up inside of the exhaust right now, actually, and see what that looks like. Exhaust is free. No antness. So we'll just have to hook up some compressed air and try and blow out the pee hole. That's pee hole there. So, yeah, guess I'll do that, and then I'll stick this back on here, and then we'll wheel it back outside, because I'm obsessive compulsive, and I can't, like, just leave parts lying around. Alright, I don't know how well this will come out on camera, but if I just jam a bunch of compressed air in my pee hole, it comes out the back end. And conversely, if I take this here tube and jam it up my back end, get a nice little blast out my pee hole. So, yeah, cooling system appears to be clear. Don't know about the thermostat. Don't even know where the thermostat is on here. But we should probably look at that at a later date, and I'll ignore it. Well, we were able to get that back in, so we're just going to call that good, put all this back together. Alright, so tonight I've made a last-minute repair to the winch for the boat trailer. And since this one's just not going to clear, there's no way it's going to work. I'd have to make some sort of weird geared extension for this arm, or hack the arm off this far, and that's not going to work. So instead what I've done is not the correct thing, which is buy a new winch. It's make this one right here work, the original one that was on the trailer. So what I did is I removed this bolt, and the problem was there's supposed to be a tube that runs from here to here, at least I'm pretty sure, and holds these two sides together, and that's just gone, just deleted itself. So I had to figure out a way to connect these two, and I can't weld, because the easy thing would be to grab a piece of that conduit over there and just stick it between there and go bzz, bzz, weld it together, and then you're done. But can't weld, so what I've done is just take these two, I think these are 3-inch stainless steel bolts that I pulled off the transom. I was going to add 2 more bolts to the transom, but I just didn't feel it was necessary. It was solid enough as it is. So I just took the 2 bolts that I bought and I swapped it for these older ones, because these older ones were too long and they just didn't have the clamping power it needed. So that worked out perfectly, because those are the exact absolute correct size for what I was trying to do. It would be better if these had threads all the way down, because then I could put 2 nuts right here and lock these in place. Because at the moment it'll still do this. It'll only really go about that far, and once you have rope on there, you know, if you start the rope right here, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's not a huge problem, but that works, and I've just soaked the hell out of everything in 3-in-1 oil. In order to do that, I had to drill 2 holes in this one, and this had some big holes in it already. Don't really know why. I guess that's where you thread the rope back through, because it's got this thing down here. But now that you got this, you can just stick the rope through here, and then just, you know, loop it over a couple of times, and then you're golden. Just loop it through a couple of times, tie it off to itself, and it won't spin on you. So that's what we're going to do. And what do I do with that rope? I'm going to take this green rope, put that on there, because that'll be the next person's problem, and I just got to have something on there to be able to hold the boat to the trailer. So I'm doing with that. I may beat on this thing down here and see if I can get this pole to work, because it's not doing anything. And that just appears to be a lock. It's not a reversible one like the other one I have. Well, we got that pole working now. All that needed was me to loosen that nut up about a quarter turn, squirt some 3-in-1 oil on it, go like this a bunch of times, and then tighten it back down 1/8 of a turn, and works perfectly now. Alright, so I'm out here working on the Evan route again, and I'm preparing to check continuity, fix that water pump bolt, and try and get this linkage arm all apart, get that gear out. I think I know how to do that. More on that later. But just notice that this ground cable right here to the emergency stop, it's kind of chewed up down in there. So maybe that might have something to do with the poor ignition. So I think I'll have to get at that and fix that here before I do anything else. It looks to be from that mouse that somehow got in here, and I have no idea how the mouse got in here, but the mouse somehow got in here. Well, on closer inspection, that's not the ground, and that makes way more sense. That's actually the stop essentially grounds out the positive, which makes sense because the ignition coils are bolted to the block; they're grounded. So yeah, you gotta forgive me. I'm not an electromagician. I'm barely a biologist. Uh, this wire comes up, runs over there to the stop button, then comes back up to where this positive lead is. So if you hit that button, it basically shorts this coil out, and this coil is connected in series with that coil, or something, and so they both short, and that causes the engine to die. Either that or it just shorts out one of the cylinders, but I think it shorts out both of them. So yeah, so don't need to worry about that unless the thing runs away on me, in which case I do. But I mean, I guess I can just bridge these two contacts if that becomes a problem. Actually, I guess I can. Anyway, we'll ignore it. Also, Dad's out there mowing. It's like it's Black Friday in November, and grass is still growing. Welcome to Charleston. All right, so here's my plan for the water pump. Got this 1-inch brass bushing. Just gonna mark that at the top of this, slap it in the vise, cut it off with a hacksaw, and then take it over there to the belt sander and or hand file and get it as flush as I possibly can. Then I've got this 1.5-inch stainless steel bolt, which matches up very well with this, except for the fact that it's 1/8 of an inch too long. So the solution, put 2 of these 1/16-inch stainless steel washers on it, which I need to anyway in order to press down on top of both the plastic and this bushing. And when I do that, they're the same length. And then to compensate for the cracked block, we're going to put some way too much blue thread locker all over these threads, and that should hopefully mostly seal these cracks and fill up some of the air gap, and hopefully not break it anymore. So I'm going to get to that. Alright, so there's that cut, and it's not quite straight, but it's pretty damn close. So I'm just going to file on one side with a hand file, and then slap all this together. And the reason why I went with bronze rather than aluminum or stainless steel is because they didn't have any aluminum or stainless steel bushings. They only had bronze ones and zinc-plated steel. And bronze has historically been used on naval vessels as a corrosion-resistant metal. So that actually works out better than aluminum, probably. So we're going to run with that, and hopefully it doesn't do something horrible and, have some sort of galvanic reaction with the stainless steel and make everything worse. But we won't know for years. Well, there she is, and I'd call that perfect. So we're just going to stick all this right back on and just run with it. Alright, got everything back together, and as previously dictated, way too much thread locker, and we're just going to delicately run that down on in there, and you see how loose it is. So I'm hoping that thread locker will cure and swell up just a bit, as well as plug up those holes in the threads, and yeah, that's exactly what I wanted it to do. So we're just going to snug everything up, and hopefully this doesn't break any more than it did. I'm going to stop right about there at torque, which was probably 10 foot-pounds. I'm going to run that to 20. A very precise measuring instrument, which is my elbow. And I always underestimate high torque, and I always overestimate low torque, because I just want everything to be 50 foot-pounds. And there we go. Still gotta find an O-ring for that. I don't think I have any here laying around the garage. So we'll just keep going with that. I don't know what that does. I guess that keeps water from getting up into here or something. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know what that O-ring does, but we're going to put all this back together. And I'm going to change the gear oil at some point. I was hoping I could just use this Walmart brand 80W90. That's probably older than I am, but apparently marine gear oil takes just straight 90 weight, and it has a special additive package that helps with fighting water emulsification. So we'll just ignore it for now. Alright, boys and girls, so I got this sucker out. Got all the gears out, got that down to brass tacks. Wasn't terribly hard. Yeah, that's what had to come out. There's a, where is it? Nylon bushing inside of this bottom gear, so I had to get everything out of here so that I could then thread a number 10 screw into that bushing, pull that straight out, slide that gear over, and then take a 3/8 wooden dowel and drive this gear out. And if you look down in there, there's some pretty significant aluminum pitting on the inside of there, which is probably why it was seizing. So I need to get in there with some sandpaper and just clean that up. And yeah, then put everything back together and make sure I have everything back together in the right order and direction so that the throttle works. That'll be the fun part, because I'll have to put every single thing back together before I know if I got it all right. Then hopefully we'll have the entire throttle assembly figured out, and then we got that and the water pump done, and all we got to do is figure out what's going on with this coil. And if it's as easy as replacing a coil, then great, except I think those are like $60 from the manufacturer, so I'll have to look up a comparable part and see what I can do. But first I'm going to pull that out, check continuity, make sure it's the coil and not just ground or something like that. It could also be that something in this power pack is bad, but probably not. I don't think so. I think that's like a early electronic ignition timing system, because it's got a sensor. So I think that sensor just tells it when to fire which cylinder. So anyway, we'll dig into that after I'm done with this gear, because I'm not out of the woods yet. Alright, well, after I got in there with some sandpaper and some grease, she is mostly free now. Free enough that I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Just put some of this 40-year-old bearing grease on it, and we'll call that good enough. It'll last a year at least. That's all I need it to do. Alright, that's all back together. It actually only goes together one way. There's only two spots where you can mess it up, and that's not lining up those timing teeth on these two gears and not aligning these correctly. And these are way easier to align because, well, that shows up, but they've got those two big fat gears, or two big fat teeth. You just got to make sure you line up those two big fat teeth so that they fit into the corresponding big fat openings. And yeah, it all only goes together one way. This thing, they were even smart enough to, they have little teeth on the square ends of this drive shaft, and, well, it's not drive shaft, throttle shaft, whatever you want to call it. And on this side, it's got two teeth, and on that side, it's got three teeth, so it can only go on one way. It can only fit in to each side of this gear one way. So that's pretty straightforward. So yeah, the only thing I got to do is just finish putting that on and put the recoil starter back in, and then it's off to the ignition system. So that ended up being a lot easier than I was anticipating. So that was nice. Alright, so I got the carburetor back in and trying to suss out this ignition gremlin, and it's not going well. The emergency stop button seems to do nothing. And I'm wondering if something's messed up in there, but then when I take this line and connect it straight to ground, I don't get anything. Or when I take this line in here and connect it straight to ground, I don't get anything. It tells me there's infinite resistance. So this doodad down here, the condenser, power pack, whatever you want to call it, thing that controls ignition timing, relays stuff from the magneto down here to the coils. It's not working. Both of the coils check out. They both show 275 ohms. So they're exactly the same and they're even, so I'm assuming they're fine, or they're both broken in exactly the same way. I'm going to assume that they're working just fine. So that tells me that it must be something up here. It might be the magneto, or it might be this guy. I'm hoping it's the magneto, because I can, pretty sure I can get a magneto pretty cheap. I don't know if I can get one of these suckers. Guess I'm going to have to pull the flywheel in and poke around under there, but it looks like all the bottom end stuff is working. I'm not certain I had spark before on that one cylinder, because I hooked that up again and Dad couldn't see spark in any of it. So I'm skeptical of if he was actually seeing spark to begin with. I couldn't get spark out of either cylinder. So, alright, did a little bit of research, and the ignition coil is supposed to read between 200 and 400 ohms. So both of them check out at exactly 275, so they're good. Which means it's probably the magneto, or I've got a short somewhere in this system. I can tell you this doesn't work, because, or at least I'm not hooked up to the right things, but when I connect to either side of that wire and press this button, the ohms don't change. It's really high to start, and I press it and it stays really high. So this button is not connecting these two leads, which is what's supposed to short the system and cause the motor to stop. At least that's what I think, or it's going in here and it's telling something in there that it needs to stop. So I don't know. I would think it would make a lot more sense to short that out, but whatever. So guess I kind of don't want to pull the flywheel, but I don't know which wires in here are the ones that go to the magneto, so I don't really know if I can test the secondary. But I'll do a little bit more research and see if I can figure out which of these wires it is, because hopefully I can just take this plug apart right here and just tap wires together and check ohms. So we'll try that next. Alright, so it's brown to brown yellow. That is the magneto in there. And when I do that, 570 ohms. It's supposed to be between 400 and 600, so that's bang on. So it's not the magneto, so that's good. That means I don't have to buy parts unless it's this power pack. I'm hoping it's just a bad ground somewhere. I think the other thing it said is that the trigger is supposed to be like 45. So we'll try that one next, but I don't know if I can get both these leads in there. Alright, got it hooked up to the trigger, which I'm assuming is the sensor. And that's bang on where it's supposed to be. It's reading like 38. It's supposed to be between 35 and 55. So that's good. Everything under the flywheel is good as far as I can tell. So we'll leave that as is. I'm assuming the primary winding is fine, because the secondary winding is. And really no. Other than put everything back together and just hope that it was bad ground and I cleaned it. That's the easy thing to do, because I don't want to have to buy one of these, because I'm assuming these are probably Brazilian dollars. I don't know what these are supposed to read, but they were reading like millions of ohms, so they're obviously not connected. So yeah, still not an electro magician. I'm just winging it. So let's see. Oh, I did take the brass brush and I cleaned up all the grounds and all that jazz. So we'll put it back together and see if it was just bad grounds. I'm hoping that's all it was. Alright, coils are back in, boots are back on. Check the ignition coil continuity. Both secondary coils are still fine to the plug, so they're doing alright. Cleaned up all those grounds, cleaned up all the bolts, and moved it over to this side. And this might have been the problem. Got this ground right here, which is got some significant scrotage going on. So I'm going to clean this guy up, and that appears to be the ground for the power pack, so that may have been the problem right there. So we'll just test spark again after this and hope for the best, because I don't really know what else it could be. Coils and the magneto are both fine. Cleaned up all the grounds on that side, checked continuity to all this jazz over here. The only thing that I know is messed up is this starter switch. But if that starter switch is grounded to here, that may also be messing it up. So we'll play with that. Alright, so no change after that. So I'm just going to assume that this power pack has failed, because don't believe it's the spark plugs, although I could have fucked them up cleaning them. Could just be that it's so weak that it's not jumping them, but who knows. It's not the ignition coils, they both tested fine. It's not the stator or the trigger, those both tested fine. Cleaned up all the grounds on everything, and I even disconnected the stop trigger. Just took this wire off and wrapped it over here. Still nothing. It's got to be that then. I mean, I can't think of anything else, so I'm gonna look to see how much one of those costs, and if I can find one for less than $50, I guess I'll have to buy one and try it. Alright, I was doing more research and I was talking about rectifiers and stuff like that, so I decided to go check the rectifier, and there's no rectifier on this, so I don't know what CDI Electronics thinks, but they're full of shit. Ain't no rectifier on here. Also turns out I didn't have the flywheel torqued all the way down, so that was nice because I didn't have to get the flywheel puller back out, because I was smart enough to recognize I was probably going to have to do this. But that let me check on the magneto some more, and it's fine. Also, there's no stator in here, so they're still full of shit because they're telling me to check the stator and the rectifier, and there's no stator and no rectifier. There's a magneto, permanent magnets, a trigger, a power pack, and 2 ignition coils, and 2 spark plugs. And yeah, unless it's the spark plugs and something's just weird about them and they're not jumping, and that's what's, shorting me out. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's the power pack. Just looked priced. I can get one delivered for like $70. So I'm gonna keep looking and see if I can find one cheaper, because I'd rather not throw $70 at this thing when I was throwing $0 at it. And I got no idea how long it'll last. So we'll see. But I'm just gonna pop this bad boy back on here. Come on now. And we'll torque that back down and stick this back over there in the corner, because until I get a new power pack or I learn some new snazzy way to detect on this thing to see if the power pack's busted, nothing I can do, because it's obviously something's wrong with the switch, but I disconnected the switch and that didn't change anything. Check the coils are fine. Check the magneto's fine. Cleaned up the spark plugs, so they should be good. And yeah, all that could be left is the power pack, and that's just a money sink. So guess we'll start putting our focus somewhere else. Alright, so that's it for the Evinrude for now, till I get my next paycheck and pay off all my Christmas gifts. Then we'll go buy our power pack and we'll play with that. So until then, I'm out.